Welcome to SQL with Python. This is the fourth video and it is centered on SQL query building with Python. And here of course, we already have done some things uh, with respect to this in the previous video in particular. But here we want to take things further, seeing how we create databases and of course create tables in those databases and all that. So that's why this is going to be on. So the first part talks about creating and connecting to database, is not new. For sure, we've been doing this for some I mean in the previous videos for sure. So first we want to establish a database connection and create a sample table if it doesn't already exist. So of course we are using SQLite. Don't forget you can also use SQL Alchemy. The second video was basically about the third video, yeah, was basically about SQL Alchemy. So here, so we import SQLite 3. Interesting, SQLite 3 is imported into Python, like I said already. And it's also, so you don't need to install it, you just go ahead and import straight up. And of course, you already know my style is before you even start following, go to check the description box in on YouTube or even on Facebook, download this code sheet and other things that may be useful there. And then open your own computer, follow along, whatever I do, do it. So that's the way you can really get to learn. And don't forget, my channel now can cater for exclusive members. So if you can choose to join my chat apart from being a subscriber, right? As a subscriber you have nothing to lose, you're fine. You always get all the things you've been getting, but if you want to take it a step further you can become a member and get special attention from the channel. And as time passes by, there are some videos that will only be seen by members of the channel, right, as your special privilege. So you just get to my page and click on join and you see the packages there that you can sign up for. All right. So create and connect to database. So we first establish a database connection and create a sample table if it doesn't already exist. We already came across this in the previous video. So this is how this looks. We've done this before, except that now to create or connect to the database now, of course, we have CONN as our variable name, and then we use the connect function inside of SQLite 3 library. And this time around, I'm creating a database called EJD Academy, and SQL databases actually end with the D in .db, right? To show that it's database, all right. And then we also create a cursor, which is a figurative cursor for referencing the database, for working around the database, right? And once you create the cursor, so every SQL or SQL command or query that you work with would actually be executed using that cursor. So normally, if you're working in SQL directly without using Python, this is all you need here. This red part is all you need, right? But because you're working, we are doing SQL with Python, then we need to do this. We need to connect to that database. So it's like we have an interface to connect, which is SQLite 3, that is. So every query you have to run, you have to start with the cursor, which you have created here, dot execute. And then here, this is us creating. So once we run this, the database is created. We did this separately, I think, in the previous video, right? But here you create the database, and in the same cell also you create a table. You create a table in that database. So here we are creating a table if not exist already, and the table is called students. And inside the students table, we have columns like ID, which is an integer and it's a primary key. And the primary key, like I said, is a unique identifier. So no two people can have the same primary key. So sometimes you need something to uniquely identify someone, like just like humans, our thumbprints do that for us, or social security numbers or NIN number, whatever, all those unique numbers like that. Then it has auto increment, meaning that it starts from one and then it just keeps incrementing automatically. Then we also have name, which is text that is not null, and we have age integer not null. We have grade text not null, meaning that they must have values, right? In that case, so anything null we don't want. That's what that is about. So if we run this now, then line 7 we commit whatever. we commit it to the database. So we create the database. We create this table called students with these four columns: ID, name, age, and grade, with the following characteristics. And we so this conduct commit actually commits that table to the database, right? And then we can now close the database. All right. So I click on Control Enter, and then you see one appearing there. So the database has been created. I didn't show you before, but let me go back to that. The database is EJD Academy. You can see it just got created, but let me delete it. Yeah, right. Let me delete it and then go do that again so you can see. So I run it now, and then I go back, and then EJD Academy is back. The door I deleted it just now. Okay. So the database is created. So to explain, SQLite 3.connect, right? This SQLite 3.connect, just like I said, it opens a database file or creates one. So if EJD Academy did not already exist, it will create it automatically. If it already existed, it will just go ahead and just access it. Then the cursor.execute is what we use in SQLite to send SQL commands. Then auto increment ensures each student gets a unique ID to be sure that those two students get the same ID, right? Then we have con.commit, which we have here, and that is what you use in saving changes. And con.close properly closes the connection, right? So you connect and then you close. That's what has happened there. So 4.2, we insert data using Python variables, right? So now the database has been created and the table has been created. But mind you, nothing is in the table. It's an empty table, but the table is already there, so it's ready to receive data, right? So now let's insert both single and multiple records dynamically using Python variables. In the previous examples I gave, right, I showed how you could just impute a single one data point at every each time, right? But it's possible that you just want to load your database with all, if you have like 1,000 information to put at once, you can do that. So I'm doing the two in this case. So in this case, we now define functions. We define function, we say insert students, then we connect with the database as usual. We closed it before. We closed it up here. So if you come here, you have to open it again. You have to reconnect to it and create a cursor once more. We didn't have to close it right there, right? But then we are doing that. So if you want to insert one student, that's what you do to in lines 5 to 12, right? So here you're committing one student. The name of the student is Akle and the age is 20. The grade of the student is A. We have ID, name, age, and grade. And then to execute this now, you say cursor.execute. Then you now say insert into students, the name, age, and grade. Now you see so you want to insert to the student the name, age, and grade. So the name and age and grade you already defined here. So you insert that, and then you have the values. This question mark, they are like so it's like placeholder for the actual information for the accolade, the 20 and the A that you have from line 6 to 8. All right. And then so when all of that is done, you have this comma here, and then you now say name, age, and grade, which you have assigned here. So that's to insert one student. All right. So you can also insert multiple students. So instead of having to do it one after the other, that's a lot of stress, right? So you have a clay already there, but you cannot still insert multiple students. So here you can get in the student data. So you have student data. So you have this open this parenthesis open and close. So for each student now, you have the next student is Baudelaire 22. The grade is B. There's Charlie that is 19. The grade is C. There's Donna. The score is 21. I mean, the age is 21, and the grade is A. And there's Ethan 23 B plus, right? So now, mind you, when you're committing just one student, you just need to use cursor.execute. But now that you're committing many students, you use cursor.execute many. Instead of just execute, you execute many, and then you now insert into students. Same thing, except that instead of execute, you use execute many, and then you have these question marks. And instead of just saying name, age, and grade now, so you load the whole data into it. So you have student data like this, and then you can commit and close, and then you can now print out students. You can print out the students that have been inserted successfully, right? I mean, we could also go a step further to say, oh, well, I mean, it will work. So there's no point having like giving room for failure, right? So you have a whole function defined from line 1 down to line 28. That's using functions in Python, right? So and then 30 will now show you insert students. So it will tell you that these following students have been inserted successfully. All right. So here I go ahead and so just click Control Enter. So it just said students inserted successfully, and that's it. So, explanation now. So the question mark, like I said, is a placeholder for a parameterized queries, which prevents SQL injection. So it's a placeholder for the name, age, and grade that you want to put. Then execute menu, just like I explained to you, efficiently insert multiple records in one go. So if you have up to, you can keep listing this for the next 1,000 students, given the number of students you have in your class. So you can just insert this. So as a class teacher, you can actually use this for your recording. I mean, you may just need a bit more knowledge to make things a bit more sophisticated. So you can surely use this. Of course, Excel is also there for you to use. But if you want something a bit more advanced, you want to think about this, right? All right. So the explanation, okay, we've done that. So retrieve data. Now you've created the database, you've created a blank table. Now you have imputed data into the blank table. For you put one student, you put multiple students. You already know how to use execute and execute menu to impute a single student or multiple students respectively. So we want to retrieve data by selecting queries. So so what we did up there, I think this is called CRUD. So you create, then you request or retrieve. Yeah, create, retrieve. I think that's the word. Create, retrieve, then okay, I think we'll come to it later. I've forgotten, but I know there's a popular code CRUD for the process of all this query we have in SQL. So now we want to select queries. Now let's read data from database and process it in Python. So in this case, now we are creating another function. So we created a function here called insert students for inserting students, one student, multiple students. Then here we want to fetch the students now. So if maybe the database was already there, that maybe you don't even know all this information. Of course, you saw the process of us committing information to the database. But if you are given a database as a database manager, so most likely you already have some information on the database. So all you just need to now do is you want to retrieve information from the database and do some other things with it. So here now again, we closed it before. So again, we have to connect with it, create the cursor, and cursor.execute. You want to select all student rows, right? Select start from students. That's from the students table. So all students is equal to cursor.fetch. So you want all the rows available. And of course, we expect to have five, right? Five because we committed one Clay, and then we committed four Baudelaire, Charlie, Donna, and Ethan, like that. So then you print all students. So for students in all students now. So for students in this all student here, so you print the ID starting from the first student. Student zero is the first student name, and then you have student one, age, student two, grade, student three. That means you are referencing the table now. You are referencing this student now. So the first student name, then you have one, two, three. It's talking about the columns. So you have the ID, you have the name of the student, you have the age and the grade, like that. Okay. So you fetch student. Okay, well, so this will print that for you. That's the first thing that is doing. Then the next thing we're also doing, we want to fetch students older than a certain age. So you want students, if you set an age threshold of 20, then we can do another SQL query. But I mean, it's normally in ordinary SQL, this is just all you would have done. You just say SQL, select a name, comma age. You want the name and the age from the students table where age is greater than a particular placeholder, and that is age threshold in this case, which you have set to be 20. So you want all students greater than older than 20. So you now say older students cursor dot fetch all, that is all, fetch all older students, right? And then we now print again students older than age threshold, which is 20, for name, age, and older students. So you print name, age, and their years, right? Then you close the connection and fetch the students. So we click on this, and this is what we get. So for all students, now remember we committed Ackley alone with age 20, grade A, ID number 2, Baudelaire, age 20, grade B, ID number 3, Charlie, age 19, grade C, ID 4, name Donna, age 21, grade A, ID 5, name Ethan, age 23, grade B plus. Okay, and we also wanted to retrieve students older than 20, right? So we say Baudelaire 22 years old. So 22 is more than 20. Donna is 21 years old, more than 20. Ethan is 23 years old also. As explanation, fetch all, get all rows. We are already used to fetching all. So you want all rows. So you can use conditions like where to filter data. All right, so I think we used where here. Yeah, we used where age. So if you want a criteria for selecting, so you use where in that case. All right. So we've seen select. Uh, for up here, we already saw create, right? We saw create. Yeah. So you see keywords. Create is one keyword, right? After that, we have insert. Okay. Then we have select now and where create, insert, select, where. Those are some keywords in SQL. All right. So another thing we want to do is we want to update records. Probably a student has graduated in your class, or a student, maybe it's a course that student can choose to take or not take. So maybe somebody wants to, you want to change some information in the database, so we can update records. Oh, okay. Did I forget to do this? Looping through results allows you to process or display them in your app. Okay. So we can loop through the results. All right. So update records, that's update query now. So let's change the student's grade. For instance, or you also found out that, oh, that student did better than you had actually first, or maybe the student came to complain after seeing the results, and you checked and you discovered it's actually the grade is actually better. So we create a function again. We say define up this, the name of the function is update underscore student underscore grade, and it takes a name and new grade now. So it takes the name of the student and a new grade, connect to the database, create your cursor that executes. That is what helps you to create an SQL query, and here you say update students. All right, so update now. So you want to update. So this update is a keyword in Python, and students is the table we created. So update the students table. You want to set grade to a particular value and name to a particular value, so that at the end of the day, you can supply the name, the new grade, and the name, and that will automatically go into this place, name and grade, right? And then you commit that to your database. All right, and then you update the rows where you now have the cursor row count updated, and then you close the connection. So in that case now, if updated rows, so if the rows are updated, so you can say updated grade for this person is this new grade. Else, if that doesn't work, you can now say no record found for name. So if you're looking for a particular student and the student doesn't exist, it will give you the second option, no record found for that particular person, because probably the person is not on the database, right? So I run this now. Okay, that didn't. So control enter, yeah. So updated grade for Charlie to B plus. So previously Charlie had C. So we discovered Charlie is supposed to have B plus. Now Charlie has B plus because you have updated it using all this process we have. So now you see what is happening in line 20 is us calling a Python function. So this is a Python function in line 1 defined here. The function name is update underscore student underscore grade. Then it takes, I think these are called parameters now, or so name and grade. So, and to call this function, you start from the function name, and you replace with the age, with the name and grade you want to replace. So you have it here, right? So you could also maybe upgrade another student's record. Say instead of Charlie now, maybe let's say Akle got A plus instead of A. So we can just say you want to also upgrade this Akle, and the grade is A plus instead of A. So we press that. So I do control enter. So you see it's all upgraded now. Akle now has A plus. So explanation. Always use parameterized queries like the question mark thing. Then the cursor row count helps confirm the number of updated rows, and you are safe to use even in production if wrapped in proper error handling, right? So another thing we want to do is, I think, create, retrieve. There's a youth in there, and then you can also delete record. Those are like standard things you do in Python. CRUD. I wonder why the word is not coming right now, but of course, definitely. Okay, I can even quickly check it up online. CRUD. I think it's a very popular thing. Yeah, create, read, update, and delete. Yes, create, read, update, and delete. Yeah. So we create the database, create the table. You can update, you can read, you can delete. You read by selecting, right, to see what's happening in the database, right? Create, read, update, and delete. So now I want to delete a record. Maybe a student graduates or a student drops out of the course. So we just come here and say, now let's remove a student from the database. So you see all that we've been doing so far is we've been creating functions, right? Where Python functions to do all these queries, to do all this SQL query building with Python. All right. So now time to delete a record. Time to delete a record. So delete query. So how do you do that? So you define the function delete underscore student name. So here you just need the name of the student you need to delete. So once you put the student's name, it automatically removes the record of the student if the student exists. If the student doesn't exist, it tells you, oh, the student does not exist on our database. So you connect to the database as usual, create the cursor. So cursor.execute. So you now say delete now. So these are another keyword. So we've seen insert, we've seen create, we've seen insert, we've seen update, I think. We've seen delete. Now we are saying delete. Previously, I think we also saw, yeah, we saw update. Now we are saying delete. So delete from the student table where name is equal to whatever. So you have this, what is this called again now? It's called a parameterized query, question mark. Then you supply the student's name and then that goes. So if cursor.row count, you can print, if cursor the row count, right, you print uh this f string, then you delete student name. So it's more, so this basket that thing is there to say that name is being deleted, right? So delete student, deleted student name this. Else, if you cannot find the name of the student on the record, you can say student named this is not found. So if you're not sure if you deleted, if a student is still there or not, this can help you to know, oh, okay, it's already deleted. So the name is not found there in the first place. So you close the connection and then you can now see delete student Bob, delete student Ethan. I mean, from what we already knew, right? There's no student called Bob here, but there's a student called Ethan. So it's, we already have an idea what the results is going to be like. So I run this now. So it tells me student named Bob not found because there's nobody on the register called Bob. But student deleted student named Ethan. So that's done. So finally, so the explanation, you use the delete with caution. Now, if you're working with a database, you want to be very careful of how you use your delete button because I mean, so that I don't lose important file. So maybe what you want to do is, if to be on the safe side, of course, I know database managers would have different ways of ensuring they don't get into trouble. So if you have a database, it's better you can copy, you can, the original database, just maybe copy it and save it safely somewhere, and then maybe you can get a copy of that database to do whatever manipulation you want to do, whether you want to delete or something, so that if anything goes wrong, if you delete something mistakenly, you can go back to the original database to be sure if you're supposed to delete or not. So you want to pay attention. So use the delete button with caution and always confirm deletion with cursor row count. So when you add something or you remove something, when you update a database or you remove something from the database, you want to use the cursor.row count to update the information. It's more like what we do in pandas when we talk about index, reset index, that kind of thing. Okay. So I mean, all these things you have done step by step, we could actually do them in one blow, right? After you run all your function, I mean, after you've created the whole, what is it called now? Yeah, after you've done all these things step by step, so you cannot then say, what was the first thing we did? All the functions we have insert students, then we have fetch students. That's another function created. We had update student grade. We had delete student. And then, so you could actually do all of them together. So you just say if double underscore name. So this is like initialized name is main. And then you can insert students, you can fetch student, you can update student grade. Maybe Charlie to A plus or Charlie to A minus. Then delete student, Bob, fetch students. Now, I mean, we're going to have something here. It's, the data for database, right? Since you've done something before, whatever you do now, it's more like all those actions are going to take place twice because you've already done all of those things up there before. So except maybe the only thing we can also do now is to now delete the database we had created. We can delete this so it doesn't repeat the same thing. So I just come here now and I just say, see what all this. So we do everything in one place. So create control enter. All right. Uh, okay. Okay. No such table. Okay, because I deleted the database, so the table is not seen. So I think the other thing I can do here is to just come to the kernel, all right, and run everything from the beginning. So it's going to give us the names doubly, right? So if you don't, well, normally, yeah, you can see it's because it's done it the first time. So it's doing it again. So we have 10 students. So you can see each student is duplicated. Ackley is twice. Each name is twice. Because we have done everything we've done step by step so you can say the first one is just 5. So this one is already committed to the database, right? But by the time you come here and do this again, it's more like you're doing the same step again. So that's why you have the names defined doubly. So you either do only this at the end or you do all these things step by step, right? So that's so you can do everything in one blow by just calling all the function names and doing what you have to do. So that's how that has been. I think it's really interesting. So you want to try, download the code sheet and try. So you can do your own thing. You can extend the list to as many as you want. You can delete whatever. Just tweak things and see how they work. And you really like it for sure. Okay, so with this, we come to the end of this fourth video on SQL with Python, talking about SQL query building with Python. Let me know how helpful this video is for you in the comments, whether on Facebook or YouTube. Let me know about that. And if there's something you have an idea you need me to implement, I can try it out. Then, of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and you can even take it further. You can become a member of the channel with some exclusive privileges, right? So there are many packages. So whatever you subscribe to gives you some kind of special privileges like that. Okay, but basically, enjoy. You can also still enjoy the benefits you've always enjoyed by subscribing, and also to always get alerted when a new video is released. You want to click on the notification bell, right? Be sure to like and share also so that more people can have access to the great content I have going on here. Till I come your way again, keep doing data right. Bye.